All right, well, ever thought of mastering the sport of falconry or perhaps sharpening up your gladiator skills? Well, Heidi Mitchell is here to tell us how her family did a little bit of that and how you can too. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So falconry, this is not a sport that most families in the United States engage in. But
not that much. In fact, it's actually illegal in some states.
Okay, well, here you go. Well, you're leading the way here then. You actually took your children, your husband, you went, and tell us a little bit about this sport and how you sort of came upon getting into hunting with these birds of prey.
So it started with medieval times. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have been there.
It's a little bit cheesy, but once you get into it, it is a ton of fun. And there's one in New Jersey, so I went with my kids and we won at some raffle. And then there were all these questions like, what is this sport and how do you do it? Where can we do it? And it turns out that they do this at Gleneagles, which is a beautiful resort in Scotland that's not that far from where my husband grew up. So we go every year. So in August we went and we just took, for $116, we took this class. And I mean, we all had our arms up like this with gloves on our wrists, and we sent this bird flying, and it's this 2,000-year-old sport that my 6-year-old was completely enthralled with.
How difficult is it to, I guess, just even get the basics in a class like this? Because it would take a long time, I think, to train the animals and then to train you as someone who's there to try and do this, how to hunt with this animal.
Well, actually, the couple that runs the school, they've been doing it for a while, and it was a hobby. Now it's a real business. They do something like 4,000 people a year at this school. But as a novice doing it for the first time, it really was pretty easy. I mean, you kind of put out your arm and took a deep breath and let this thing soar, and then it does come back. I mean, you give it a little bit of meat and the thing comes back. And we also did something else called gun dogging, where the dog would then go and retrieve through all these different whistle patterns. They would retrieve the animal that the bird had smashed into the ground.
Fascinating stuff. And now I also know that you pursued some gladiator skills you could brush up on.
We're working on it.
You're working on that next. So tell us how people can go about doing that.
Well, fencing has become hugely popular amongst young kids. So this is sort of the next level. Instead of your spear with a little ball in the end, this is an actual spear. But there's a hotel called the Waldorf Astoria Cavalieri in Rome, and they have a whole class. They have 15 acres on their property right in town, and they teach you, mace throwing and how to hold your shield, and you wear real helmets, and you practice with foam first, and you have a real guy from the Historic Society teaching you how to do this, and a little bit of history about how the Roman gladiators performed all these skills, and they're pretty muscle building, and like a Marine could do them, and then you actually get to fight with real swords and real shields.
That's great. I'm sure the kids love that.
As long as there's no death.
So so you haven't injured yourself in the falconry or the gladiator exercise. Then spearfishing is something else you're telling us about now.
Yeah, so there's a company out of Montana called Off the Beaten Path, and they run these spearfishing trips to actually islands I've never heard of called Palau and Yap. And it's very they live off the land, and they teach you how to put these points on spears, and then they teach you how to aim and throw, and you spike down just like on Survivor. And you can then eat the fish that you caught, and it's very traditional, and it's kind of an amazing cultural immersion. It's great for kids too.
And how are these companies doing as businesses? I mean, is this something that's sort of gaining traction? I mean, obviously the days of sitting on the beach with your family might not be exciting enough, that people really want these adventures.
I think that families, especially families, they have such limited time together, and they want to immerse their children in something that's more than just sitting on a beach. So this is a way to bond, you have a lot of laughter, and you learn a new skill that you can go home and brag about. I really doubt you're going to be spearfishing much in your backyard, or hopefully not practicing your gladiator skills that much. But they
not with the neighbor's kids, without the parents
Maybe
knowing.
Those foam swords can go home with you, but it's a ton of fun, and they've actually seen a huge growth. All of these companies. This other company was telling me that they have this jungle survival skill. I went on one of their trips, and it was tough camping in the Amazon, and this was without a Marine doing it without a flashlight and eating bugs and stuff that we found in the woods. So I can't imagine how hard that is, but I guess learning how to survive with your teenage son might be kind of a great bonding experience. So they do have huge growth from that.
Well, Heidi, thanks. It's interesting to travel with your family, I'm sure, all these trips. We'll appreciate it. And of course, everybody can get more details on all of these trips in this weekend's journal. Heidi Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.